Good morning, sunshines. Happy days. Welcome back to the Sky Lila podcast. Before we dive into today's episode, I wanted to start off with something real because it is Monday, my podcast day. And honestly, I didn't want to record today, but here I am because I know that it's the tiny steps and it's the little things that you do every day that make you feel better, even on the days that you don't want to do them. I felt good this morning, went to work, came back, and then it hit me. I read something the other day that is so accurate, and it said, grief will wait for you to finish. So my grandmother passed recently, which I mentioned before, and it's hitting me today. And it's on and off, and there's days when you're out and about and it's like, oh yeah, it's all good, no worries. She lived a long life. And then there's moments when you're like, whew, okay, I'm not going to get to lay with her again. So today was one of those days, and it still is as I'm recording this, but I made a commitment to myself to record a podcast and post every Monday. So here we are. What I learned from years of personal development, grief work, and inner discipline is that sometimes the days that you want to show up 20% are the days that move your life forward the most. Not because you're perfect or productive or high energy, but because you stayed loyal to your future self. So today's episode is a mix of both worlds because I wanted to be authentic. I had a plan for today's, and I will still go through that, but I just wanted to mention where my mind was at to begin with because it's hard for me to, I'm so open. I need to be open because I also know that so many people can relate to this, and if you don't right now, you might be able to in the future, hopefully not for a long time, but we are honoring my emotional reality, honoring my goals, baby steps and big decisions, rest and consistency, grief and growth, because that's what this season is and this episode is really about. Besides the little grief that you experience, it's the baby steps towards your goals. So there's something I did earlier today that feels symbolic. I sent in my final documents for my Irish passport. Woo! That is something that has been in the works for probably 10 years. And every step has been so tiny to gather the right document, order it. It's taken so long. Every step was slow, and honestly, most of the time it felt like nothing was happening. But today, that tiny step felt like a milestone, felt like the universe saying, see, you're getting somewhere, and you always were. I told myself even throughout this year that if I just get this passport done and in, it will be a successful year. Like, that's my one goal for the year, because it's just for family reasons and my grandmother's story on the other side, just gathering the right documents. So that made me reflect on the whole year, where often it felt like I wasn't achieving much. But then I zoom out and think, well, this year is the man that I met. Well, I technically met him at the end of last year, but basically this year that we've built a relationship, the man I don't want to jinx it, but most likely spend the rest of my life with. I healed parts of myself that I didn't know were wounded, and he helped me grow through previous grief that I didn't know was related. Just so much stuff around a relationship, that building this one thing, a relationship with my beautiful significant other, is a huge accomplishment. It's the year I planted seeds in business and love in myself that will change the trajectory of my future. This passport, which will open up doors quite literally throughout the whole world. So a reminder that tiny steps add up quietly, they build empires slowly, and they prepare you for things you didn't even know you were manifesting yet. And that's why today's episode is called The Power of the Pause, because as we enter December, a month of reflection, slowing down, and recalibration, I want to remind you that rest is not falling behind. Rest is strategic. Rest is alignment. Rest is your nervous system preparing you for your next expansion. Just like that quote where it said, grief will wait for you to finish. You can make yourself as busy as possible, see as social as possible, work out as much as possible, and when you're finished, grief will say hello and you will process. So it's important to give yourself that time, whether it's at the beginning, later on, whatever it might be. I've discussed this quite a bit before in some of my grief-specific episodes, where the way I've approached grief has changed dramatically over the years. After my cousin, it was like, well, this, obviously I accepted it, but I didn't really, and I don't even think I was able to. So it's like that, the way I processed that was the way I had to, because that was the only way I could at the moment. Where when I'd feel an emotion that I didn't enjoy, it was like, okay, time to run. Okay, time to do something. Okay, time to do whatever it might have been, but just work, run, be busy. And then there's moments when it was like, oh, okay, I'm going to have to process this now. Where it's a bit different with my grandmother, because obviously it wasn't, well, not obviously, it wasn't a sudden death. She's been on her way out for a while now. So I've been able to process it the whole way through, as opposed to before. Experiencing sudden death is so challenging for your mind to comprehend, and your body, which is what I've still been processing this year, is like grief and trauma in the body, which I didn't know was there. I was like, oh, I didn't know that somebody else in their deathbed, my grandmother, could remind my nervous system of moments with my cousin that I just didn't even know needed healing. So in a way, it's been absolutely incredible, because I've grown so much, and my sweet loving boyfriend has helped me, because it's like, oh, I'm just relating so much of moments of love and how they triggered moments of grief. And the more I understand the neuroscience and the body trauma and science behind it all, it's like, oh, this is the same neurological pathway, and that's why this is bringing up this, because it's a beautiful moment that in the past had a bad ending, that my body is freaking out because it's scared. It's the last time I experienced this, it was bad, so my body seizes up. When like moments with my boyfriend have been so healing, because I'm like, oh, okay, nobody's dying, everything is beautiful, all is well in the world. My point of that is, embrace whatever you are experiencing, because even if it's confusing and beautifully painful, you're growing and you're healing, whether or not you're fully aware of it, but your body is processing. All right, to the main episode, where my original plan was the power of the pause, why rest is the secret to expansion, and how that tied into today's a little funny, because it's about resting, right? But then it's also about doing the bare minimum, those tiny little habits where you don't quite feel like doing it, but at least if you just make that one progress, you're staying on track with your goals. Like today, I did obviously what I needed to do with work, and then it's like, oh, I really don't want to do anything else. But there's a few other personal goals, this podcast, my passport, and some other work goals that it's like, okay, if I just get those done, it'll be a successful day. Giving your time to rest, giving your body time to rest, but knowing what are the mandatory actions that you need to do that day that will help you progress. Some neuroscience insight. When we rest, truly rest, our brain enters the default mode network. This is where emotional processing, clarity, and creativity actually happen. So when we're constantly pushing, forcing, grinding, our brain stays in survival mode. And in that state, everything feels harder than it actually is. Conversations, decisions, relationships, dreams. Rest doesn't just restore you, it rewires you. I read something, or I heard something on my way to work this morning too, and it was like, you're okay. You know, you're not crashing, you're just tired and you're overwhelmed. And it was like, yeah, you're right, I'm okay. Grief is extra heavy today because I'm tired. When you eat clean and you rest, life isn't as heavy. You can take on more throughout your day. December is a wintering season. It's the universe whispering, come back into yourself, slow down, listen. Just like trees shed their leaves to conserve energy, we can shed pressure, expectations, guilt, and urgency. A few journal prompts for you. Where am I resisting rest? What tiny step can I take this week that my future self will thank me for? Just think really small. What's one thing? And that's been one major thing throughout this year that I've just stayed focused on, is this passport. And then the rest that I do, it's like, okay, great, you're going to do what you need to do for work, but what's that personal goal that will absolutely change your life? Third question, what would it look like to rest without guilt and stay consistent with my goals? Again, those tiny little habits. It's funny how life just throws a lot at you, but that's what we're here for, right? We are spiritual beings having a human experience. And that's a lot that I've learned in the past couple weeks. Say at my grandmother's funeral, there was one of my grandfather's friends there who is probably still in his mid to late 80s, but he seems like he's got at least another 20 years ahead of him. And just after the funeral, I was thinking, and I said it out loud, probably a bit, could have said it in a nicer way, but I was like, I guess you get less sensitive, right? Because I was trembling at the funeral. It was incredibly challenging for some reason. I think a little bit different than my cousins, because I wasn't in denial, and it was like, okay, this is really happening. But obviously, then I thought, oh, this man, love him so much, but like his entire friend group, they're all gone, and the why, like they're all gone. And he was like, well, you still feel it, but that's a cycle of life, or the circle of life. And it was like, yeah, you're right. I guess everyone's gonna go eventually. We just hope it's not for a while, and we hope we get to experience life with them. But the reality is, every single person that you know now will die. And let that help you and serve you into cherishing the moments you have with them, soaking it in, embracing those family holidays that you might not be thrilled to go to, or family dinners, whatever it might be. I know this holiday can be a lot for most people, and all that family time. Fortunately, I freaking love my family, and I just never get tired of them. And there's pros and cons to that too. It makes it extra challenging living across the world because I miss them so much. And then I love spending time with them, where I know the majority of people's holidays are tough, or the holiday season is tough, because it's like, ugh. And if that's your reality, that's fine too. You don't have to force yourself into a certain situation. If you need to let people go, let people go. But if deep down you cherish those moments, try to forget the rest, because it goes so quickly, and you never know when your last moment with them could be. Just embrace them. Or if you've lost people and it's coming up to the holidays and that's extra difficult, sit with them in meditation. I do believe that spirits are still there, and they're watching over us, and we can talk to them if we want to. In the last week or two, I've had a few moments where I just sort of sat in the presence with my grandmother. Ooh, sometimes were hard, but some moments are nice, knowing, okay. Also, if I can live a life that my grandchildren love me as much as I love her, what a beautiful lifetime that will be. And it reminded me too that before, because my cousin passed at 28 and I was 23, I had this serious fear of dying young, or just losing everybody that I love. I still have that a little bit, but it's changed a bit, because now I can relate it to my grandmother, where it's like she had such a beautiful long life and experienced so much, like such a full life. She really, honestly, goals. My grandmother and her, absolute goals. So I think, oh, now I have so much to look forward to. I haven't even gotten married yet. We haven't even had our children yet. We haven't even had our grandchildren yet. There's so many beautiful things to look forward to. That take a moment for the shitty things that happen. Sit in that pain, in that silence, and then remind yourself that life is just getting started. Even if you're 60 and you're listening to this, you've still got probably 40 years ahead of you, maybe more, as science changes and our health changes. We have so much time, but use it. Know what season you're going through. So if you're having a quiet, darker season, know that you're just being planted and you're building a foundation and you're clearing out old gunk. You're taking away a house and you're building your new dream house. There are going to be those seasons, but at least if you know that that's your season, you know that summer's ahead of you as well. So today we're probably showing up at 40%, but that's enough. And maybe just doing this podcast and sharing the authenticity of today will make me, I already feel better now. And sorry if this is not what you're expecting, or if it provokes emotions that you don't want to feel, but just know once you feel them. My grandfather always used to say, have a good cry, you'll feel better. And it's like, it's true. Sometimes when I let myself cry, it passes because you've done it, right? And you're like, oh, there's no more tears left. Where when you're holding in, then you're just on edge all day. Life isn't about perfect effort. It's about aligned effort. It's about honoring your goals while still honoring your heart. It's about understanding that consistency doesn't mean intensity. It means devotion. So as you move through December, remember, baby steps count. Rest counts. Showing up imperfectly counts. Your growth is happening quietly, even when you don't see it. Surround yourself with those that you feel safe with and have the courage to say no to the ones that you don't. Your life is your life. Peace and love. I love you so much. Thanks for tuning in to this episode. I hope you feel something from it. Love you.